What is going on, everybody? I know you've all been waiting for this video for quite a while, and I'm really excited to bring it to you. Yes, what you are looking at is the 2006 Sonic Blue Yngwie Malmsteen Stratocaster, made in the USA. This Strat is very special. So let me give you the backstory on this, and then we'll get into the specs. Before I jump into today's video, I just want to mention my free monthly newsletter. If you hit the link in the description below, it will forward you to my website with a sign-up form, and you will be forwarded my free monthly newsletter as well as all of my tabs for every single video on my YouTube channel. And of course, with that, you'll have access to my email address. Please feel free to email me with any guitar or gear-related questions anytime. So with that being said, let's just jump right into today's video. I'm sure many of you just watched my playthrough of Far Beyond the Sun. Thank you very much for the support on that video. I kind of wanted to wait to film that video, frankly, until I actually got my hands on an Yngwie Malmsteen Strat. And part of it was kind of a trial and error for me, because I kind of just wanted to see, like, is this song going to be any easier to play through with Yngwie's actual guitar? You know what I mean? I don't know. Sometimes I just want to experiment with things like that before I actually film a video and put it out. And, you know, I'll kind of get into that in a little bit in terms of the playability factor. But basically, I kind of got turned on to the Yngwie Malmsteen Strat, basically, you know, when I started learning his music. Kind of what I just said. I was like, I wonder if there's something to these scalloped frets. The more that I did my research on it, I started getting more inclined to actually try it out. And I was kind of skeptical at first. You know, I didn't really know if it was just like a gimmick or if it was hype or whatever. And then I finally was able to go visit my buddy in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He actually works at Sweetwater. And we were hanging out for the day at the Sweetwater headquarters in Fort Wayne. And they actually, you know, they pretty much have every guitar in the world there. So if you want to ask to try one out, they'll just be able to get it out of the warehouse. So I said, hey, can I play the Yngwie Malmsteen, you know, Stratocaster? And they went and got it out. It was already set up. Started playing it, and you know, at the time I was kind of in a love-hate with Strats at that moment. I noticed a lot of them in general were very finicky for me. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to like it, but maybe there's something to it. So then I played the Yngwie Strat up there, and literally immediately I was like, wow, this is the best Strat I've ever played in my entire life. Every single thing about it was great. The neck felt great. As a lot of you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of gloss necks. But that's not like a deal breaker, you know. That was probably the only thing at the time that I was like, gloss neck, I don't know about that. But everything else about this guitar is great. The pickup sounded great. It stayed in tune great. Everything was great about it. So then at the time, I really wanted to buy one, but I didn't really have, you know, at the time I think it was like $2,000. I didn't really have that at the time. So I kind of waited and tossed up the idea, and over the years was on Reverb, you know, trying to see what kind of deals I could get. And to my surprise, there was a lot of Yngwie Malmsteen kind of copy guitars online being sold. And then I saw a video that someone showed me of actually just someone else that owned this guitar, the blue one. And I was like, man, I'd love to get a blue one. I just love that color on the Strat. And then to my surprise, there was like none in existence at all. So I would constantly go on Reverb and try to find the Sonic Blue Yngwie Strat or the pink one. It was pretty much between the blue or the pink one. I just liked them both equally in the pastel colors like that. And to my surprise, they only made them in the Fender custom shop. So it was like, oh, if you want the blue one or the pink one, you got to spend $5,500. And I was like, I just cannot justify like ever spending that on like any guitar, to be honest. Like, it would have to just be like the one for me to spend that kind of money. And I was like, I'm not going to spend that just for a color, you know what I mean? So it's like, I guess I'm going to have to settle for the yellow one, and maybe I'll end up getting a good deal. So the last like 2 years of my life, and also keep in mind I was learning all this Yngwie stuff in between that, right? So I'm definitely like inclined to now get a scallop Strat, etc. So long story short, I pick up that black Squire. You know, I have a whole video on that. You can see all the mods I did. Did about $1,000 worth of mods into that guitar. And then I scalloped the 12th fret all the way to the 21st fret on that guitar. And, you know, I did it kind of as like a dipping my feet in because I had remembered playing the Yngwie Strat, but at the time, truthfully, my technique wasn't probably where it should have been to like full blown like purchase a scallop guitar all the way through. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna scallop the frets, try it out, you know, on this guitar, on, you know, just the half scallops. Really liked it. Like instantly was like, dang, I wish I would have just scalloped the whole thing. You know, because by that point, by the time I scalloped that guitar, my technique was great, you know, in terms of being able to play on it without anything, having any kind of tuning problems. So I was like, dang, I wish I would have just scalloped the whole thing because this is, like, this feels the best to me now. So long story short, I see this guitar finally pop up on Reverb. I'm just kind of looking, you know, my birthday's coming up. Actually, next week I'm going to be 26. Maybe by the time this video is out, I'll already be 26. I don't know. But this year I had the money, and I was like, you know, I really just want to buy a guitar that I want to buy this year. Like, just because a lot of the time money was an issue, right? So I'd have to kind of like cop out for something. This year it was like, I got the money saved up, I'm buying the guitar that I want to get. So I saw this guitar pop up for $2,500 USD on reverb.com. And the guy that was selling it had a ton of insanely expensive guitars. Like, this was like nothing compared to what he had. I mean, he had a Flying V, Carina Flying V on there for $30,000. I was just like, wow, okay. So I don't think he really was in a rush to offload this, you know? So I basically tried to talk him down on the price. I was like, hey man, you take like $2,000 on it? No. Take 22 on it? No. 23? No. So finally, I got $100 off on this guitar at $2,400, but I ended up paying that extra $100 in tax. So I basically bought it full price for what he was asking, $2,500. And totally worth it though, if I'm being completely honest. Easily the most justified, worth it guitar buy I've ever done, like without a doubt. Because when he sent this to me in the mail, as soon as I opened it out of the case, this was the most mint condition used guitar I've ever bought in my entire life. There was not a single scratch on this entire guitar. Like, no anything anywhere. I actually doubted if he even played this thing, to be honest with you. I was like I almost thought about asking him, like, damn dude, did you just buy this and like literally never play it? Because that's pretty much what it smelled new out of the case. Like, it didn't even look like ever played at all. So maybe he just cleaned it really good, I don't know. But there's no dings, no scratches, no nothing. I mean, this is basically a brand new guitar. So a couple things I noticed straight out the gate with this guitar is that the setup on it was already amazing. Obviously the guy either set it up or maybe, like I said, never touched it, who knows. The guitar sounds really good even without anything plugged in. That was the other thing I noticed about it. And also the body is like incredibly, incredibly light. It's got to be maybe 7 pounds total for this entire guitar. Super light guitar. In fact, when I opened it out of the case, I actually kind of figured like, oh, this must be how Yngwie just like throws his guitars in the air on stage, because it's literally so light you could just like throw it to somebody. Insane. Like, that guitar, the black one, is like so much heavier than this guitar. So I don't know if the body's just completely boated on the inside. I haven't actually taken this off. I kind of don't care to take it off if I don't have to right now, because I'm just enjoying the guitar. It is hard-tailed right now. Bar feels great. Little bit of play in the bar, but that's okay. Couple interesting things about it. This volume knob, just, it clicks on 10. And then you have to like unclick it, and it kind of, here, I'll show you side view here. It actually like sinks into the body when you put it on 10, so it just stays up. And that's obviously for the third pickup here. Now, that's probably the most interesting thing I noticed about this guitar is these DiMarzio pickups. Now, these pickups are not made anymore by DiMarzio. Yngwie doesn't have a deal with DiMarzio anymore. He's with Seymour Duncan now. And these pickups have zero hum at all on the highest of gain channels. I'm not really quite sure how they're made to be humbucking single coils. I mean, they sound like single coils, right? But they're technically humbuckers because they buck the hum. This one it could act as like, I guess, a dead pickup, but it's not dead. Like, it does have sound. So I really don't know, truth be told, on how this actually works. But there's only 3 positions on this guitar. So this one is that. I'm pretty sure this one is that. It's hard to tell, to be honest, when you're switching on high gain. And this one is that. So there's only 3 positions. These pickups are, I'm gonna be honest, maybe the best pickups like I've ever heard. If I'm gonna be like straight up with you right now, these might be the best pickups I've ever heard. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even just saying that. Like, straight up, when I plugged this thing in, I was like blown away. I was like, wow, Yngwie knows something about what he's doing with his tone, and that's kind of what buying this guitar reinforced for me about Yngwie, which I'll get into the scallops in a second. But it made me realize that Yngwie, like, literally knows exactly what he is doing when it comes to every single thing about his rig. Like, nothing he's done on his instrument was an accident. That's kind of what I came to realize after owning this guitar, because everything just makes so much sense. The pickup selection, the way the knobs are, the intonation, the brass nut, even these tuners. These tuners are the ones where you can actually stick the string inside of the hole so you don't cut yourself on the strings. Like, why is not every tuner like that? That's a great idea. You see that a lot on bass guitars. They have those tuners, but it's like, yeah, every electric should have that. Love the jumbo headstock. Always wanted a Strat with a jumbo either way. So yeah, made in the US. So check this out. You'll probably find this interesting. Unlike his signature model now that has only 3 bolts like the 70 style, this one's 4. You could say that this is a better design. I would say debatable. I can't really question it too much, because it's like, well, Yngwie obviously doesn't see 3 bolts as an issue for him in terms of intonation, so what am I going to say about that? But yeah, 4-bolt design, pretty sweet. So this is a 2006, and the blue is super rare color. So I've seen people online have this guitar for even more than I bought it for. I saw one other guy in the UK selling it for $3,500. So just this color, it's just the colors, it's super rare. So, I mean, I'm definitely into the color. So let's talk about the scallops now, because that's probably what you all want to really actually know about. So this is a C neck. I believe this is a 9.5 radius on this neck. I'm nearly 100% sure on that. It definitely feels like a just standard 9.5 setup. The action height on this right now, I would say, is medium. I wouldn't say it's high, but I would say medium action. But the frets are so huge that you really can't tell. And honestly, I've grown to prefer a medium action over a low action. You just don't have any control of your bending with a low action, and it's just harder to bend in tune, in my opinion. So I definitely prefer medium action anyways, but that is what a Strat generally is designed to be. You can't do a low action on a Strat without you just fretting out all the frets. So that's the first thing. But the scallops, as you can see, progressively, as you go up the neck, get deeper. Love that design. So a lot of people ask me in terms of the scallops, like, so how weird was it for you to pick up this guitar when you first purchased it with the whole neck being scalloped and your other guitar isn't like that? So for me, honestly, this guitar felt completely normal. Like, first impression, it literally didn't even feel like a difference to me. And that's why I kind of said at the beginning of this video that my technique just got so much better by the time I bought this guitar that it didn't really matter with the scallops, right? And I'm going to kind of go more in depth with this idea, because I've actually come to the conclusion that I firmly now believe that guitars have been built on a flawed design the entire duration of the existence of electric guitars. the fact that not every guitar comes scalloped from the get-go literally now makes no sense to me. It is a flawed design. And the reason for that is because, example, like my fingers are round. And when I press into the fretboard of an unscalloped neck, you have this friction going against your finger that you probably don't even notice until you just don't have it anymore. So like, there's a couple things that go into it. I just play with a really light touch anyways, so I don't have any issues of pushing the strings past where they're supposed to go to make it out of tune. A lot of people usually complain about that being an issue with the scallop frets, so they'll say, oh, I can't play chords. I've not had a single problem playing chords on this guitar at all. Play them just fine. They don't go out of tune. You just have to play with a light touch. So truthfully, you know, unless you're just a huge Yngwie fan and you want his guitar, totally valid, I would recommend not buying scalloped fretboard guitars if you're not ready for that. Meaning, like, if your technique isn't developed yet to a point where you feel like you can handle that, I would probably advise against it, just because you might experience a lot of frustration. But the caveat to that is I would recommend buying it if you're trying to actually help your technique get better. So if you have issues with pressing really hard into the strings and you're trying to correct that, buying a scalloped fretboard guitar actually might fix that for you, because you're not going to have any choice but to start playing with a light touch if you want to stay in tune. So like I said, for me, upon buying this, I was already kind of like ready for that and prepared for that by the time I bought this. So by the time that I actually picked it up and played it, it really was no issue for me, and I didn't even really think about it. It was just like, oh, this feels so much better than my other guitar all of a sudden. And most of that is just because we got the wood out of the way. There's no friction now pushing against my finger when I push into the string. And I think that's something I realized now when I went back to play my other Strat on the unscalloped portion of the neck, that it actually kind of hurts to play some of the chords. Like, even though I play with a light touch in general, I didn't realize that there's just this friction against my finger from the fretboard, because even if I play with the lightest touch possible, there's still wood pushing me off the string. Versus here, we got it out of the way. So now there's nothing pushing me off the strings, right? The other factor of this is the bends. I think this is another thing that people don't think about often, is that bending kind of hurts. Like, so I play with the lightest gauge strings. I actually use the same string gauge as Yngwie, 8 through 38 or 42, I want to say. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's 8 through 38 is what I'm playing with. Tuned to E flat, right? So it's literally as smooth as butter. The only string gauge lighter is 7s, and I kind of had tough luck with that one. It was a little bit too light for me. That's the Billy Gibbons one. Upon playing with light strings, bending on flat fretboard still is like painful, especially when you get up here and the tension between you and the string gets a lot more harsh. And again, with the scallops, it just solves like 90% of that problem right off the bat, because it's the same thing that I was just talking about. Your fingers are not getting stuck on the friction of the wood in multiple areas, not just the wood pushing you off the string, but also the wood colliding with your actual skin on your finger. That's like, oh, I have to slide against wood now also, which is causing even more friction, and then it hurts to do bends. But on this guitar, being that, again, the wood is out of the way and you're sliding only against smooth metal, incredibly easy to do bends. And it actually makes sense now, because everyone says, oh, Yngwie's vibrato is amazing. Well, it is amazing. He probably definitely has perfect pitch, to be honest. But a huge part of it is just the design of his instrument. Like, getting from point A to point B in terms of those bends and vibrato is significantly 1,000 times easier with the scalloped fretboard. So a lot of people say, oh, scallops make you play faster. they don't really make you do anything. It pretty much just enhances your technique if you already have good technique. So if you have bad technique and you're gonna play a scalloped fretboard, you're gonna realize you have bad technique very quickly. If you have good technique, or you're kind of getting to that point where your technique's getting better, scalloped fretboard's only gonna enhance that from the way I see it. It also can be, like I said earlier, a learning tool. If you're trying to make your technique better, try a scalloped fretboard. It'll probably, if you actually work at it and conform to it, your technique will get better. That's a personal opinion, but I do believe that to be true. Caveat that with the single coils, which are also, you know, basically pure tone pickups, meaning that you can hear all your mistakes if you make them. To me, this guitar design in general is perfection in a lot of ways, meaning that you're going to hear the real you when you're playing, if that makes sense. Like, there's nothing to hide behind anymore when it comes to this design. With the single coils, you know, being more truthful in the tone and not as bulky sounding as humbuckers, you can really hear all of your actual pick strokes if they line up. And then with the scallops, while, like I said, enhancing your actual tuning stability and intonation, but also could show that if you're not, you know, if you're playing basically with a heavy hand, it'll go out of tune on you real fast. So to me, this is kind of the most truthful guitar design that I've seen, right? And obviously the scallops are modeled after a sitar. So the scallops aren't like an original idea per se from Yngwie or Ritchie Blackmore. It's really more of a like, oh, hey, this other instrument did it. I wonder if this would enhance this instrument. And to me, I would say yes. I think the regular fretboard design is a flaw in the electric guitar. That's my truthful, humble opinion. I think it would actually help a lot of people to try a scalloped fretboard. I would not be afraid of it if I were you. So with all of that being said, I'm extremely happy I bought this guitar. It's probably actually the most happy I've ever been on any guitar purchase that I've ever done, which is saying a lot because I've bought so many guitars I can't even count. But I would say, like, truthfully, absolutely zero regrets on buying this guitar. Even with as much as it cost me to get it, I don't regret any part of it at all. I'm very, very happy with this guitar. It's pretty much my main guitar right now that I've been playing. And this guitar has actually inspired me now to scallop all of my guitars. That guitar is scalloped. My Jackson custom shop is in the shop right now. Actually just got scalloped. They're redoing the finish on it. I'll do a video on that guitar when it gets back. It'd probably be a couple months though before I get it back. But I'm sold, to be honest. Like, the scallops, to me, I'm sold on it. I don't know if I'll ever go back to the regular design. I definitely have, like, crossed the point of no return in terms of my playing now with the scallops. So for me, I would say that that is a part of my actual musicianship and style of playing now with the scallops. I don't feel like it's a gimmick, and I do feel like it is the correct design for electric guitar. Obviously, like, the depth of your scallops is subjective. Like, the scallops on this one are deeper than that one, and I do prefer the deeper scallops. Maybe I'll do more to that one. I don't know yet. I probably will. Like, I'll probably just scallop the whole thing. Because yeah, it's just my preference at this point. So I do believe it to be the correct design for guitar, if I'm being completely honest. It just makes the most sense to me. So yeah, super rare Sonic Blue Yngwie Malmsteen Stratocaster. Thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure to sign up for my free monthly newsletter. All you gotta do is go to the link in the description below. It'll take you to my website. You type in your email, and then from there, once you click submit, I will send you my free monthly newsletter with a free written guitar lesson in it every month, as well as access to all of my tabs. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one.